According to media reports, over 500 medical staff at Ruzhou Maternity and Child Healthcare Hospital in Henan have been waiting to receive their salaries for over a year. They also still need to have their medical insurance and housing fund contributions paid. The medical staff are facing economic hardships, unable to cover daily expenses and living costs. On November 3rd, a large number of medical staff gathered at the entrance of the hospital to protest. A staff member claimed the delay in salary payment was due to the city requiring each hospital to contribute a portion of its funds, leaving the hospital with insufficient funds to pay salaries. When a journalist called a staff member of the Ruzhou Health Commission for comment, the conversation went as follows. Is this true?
Yes, it seems so.
What's the reason for the delay in paying salaries?
Lack of funds.
How will the doctors' demands be resolved?
I don't know.
In China, wage claims by migrant workers are no longer news. However, recently, employees with golden balls, that is, stable jobs such as civil servants, employees of state-owned enterprises and public institutions, who typically don't worry about job security, seem to have joined the ranks of those seeking overdue wages. While migrant workers' salary delays are often due to deliberate default by employers, the delays for civil servants and public sector employees seem to be the government's reluctant and passive response to the economic crisis. The subtitle reveals that on September 12th, staff at the Zhuangcheng No. 2 People's Hospital in Heze, Shandong, haven't received their salaries for 8 months, forcing doctors and nurses to protest in the streets and demand their wages from the county government. It suggests that more people in China will be forced to take to the streets to protest against authoritarian bureaucracy in the coming years. In September, a video circulated on social media showed about 30 people protesting for their salaries in front of the Guilin Bureau of Radio and Television in Guangxi. The banner read, "Haven't received salaries for half a year. We need to survive." Mr. Zhou, a retired civil servant who returned to Shaanxi, told Radio Free Asia that he learned from classmates in Shandong that some civil servants in Bingzhou didn't even receive their August salaries. Bingzhou civil servants, those actively employed in the system, can't pay out salaries anymore. Initially, it was just one district government delaying salaries. But now, most districts haven't paid for over a month, including public institutions. The government has run out of options, he said. A video uploaded on YouTube by Old Ant, the voice of the people, showed that on the morning of September 4th, hundreds of teachers from Mengjing No. 1 Senior High School and Mengjing No. 2 Senior High School in Luoyang, Henan, sat quietly at their school gates to protest the school's delay in paying salaries. It was reported that the school had not paid salaries for several months. In June 2023, it was revealed that staff in government agencies in Ruzhou, Henan, once ranked as an economic top 100 county by the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, hadn't received salaries for 6 months. Although Ruzhou officials did not respond, a local government worker said in an interview with foreign media, "It's not just 6 months of unpaid salaries. Some administrative and public institutions have been delaying salaries for nearly a year, and there have been other institutions not paying at all." Mr. Jiang, a resident of Jiaozhou, Shandong, disclosed that civil servants and employees of public institutions in several towns in Jiaozhou have not been paid for several months. In Qingdao, Weifang, and Gaomi, the salaries of civil servants have either not been paid or only partially paid since the Lunar New Year. The financial deficit in government is prevalent. More surprisingly, local governments have even resorted to borrowing money from temples. According to Zhao Lanjian, a mainland media person, the government of Hebei District, Tianjin, had no money to pay salaries as early as March and April. they borrowed several billion from the Temple of Great Compassion to sustain themselves until July. And when they ran out of money again, they asked to borrow more. However, the monastery, also struggling, refused the request. Amidst widespread protests over unpaid wages across China, several public security bureaus in Shandong recently announced the closure and merger of police stations. This led to online comments suggesting there's no money left. Downsizing is the general trend. On October 22nd, the Qingdao Public Security Bureau, Shibei Branch, released an announcement on its official Weibo about the optimization and integration of some police stations. The statement declared that from the following day, 9 police stations would merge with 9 neighboring ones, effectively combining 2 stations into one. This move was not limited to the Shibei branch in Qingdao. Similar actions were initiated across Shandong province, including Weifang, Juxian, and Lingyi, attracting widespread public attention and discussion. According to disclosures from mainland Chinese citizens, the primary task of the Chinese police is to maintain stability among the populace. With increasingly stringent controls, the police force is expected to grow rather than shrink. Temporary auxiliary police with lower qualifications and wages are recruited to address the shortage of official police officers. Various netizens have expressed their views on this issue. A netizen named Snow1978 commented, "The government is running out of money. Downsizing is the inevitable trend." Mr. Qi from Weifang pointed out, "The local governments are short of funds now, and even paying salaries is becoming a problem. There are very few formal police officers. Most are auxiliary police, essentially temporary workers. When you call 110, it's these auxiliary officers who respond. Our local public security situation isn't great, and cases are being suppressed." Mr. Shen from Qingdao said, "In Qingdao, several police stations have been merged to expand the administrative area for direct controlled municipality status. I've heard that many administrative and public institutions have reduced salaries, with some even asking for annual bonuses to be returned. While major departments aren't facing cuts, the secondary ones have been significantly reduced." User Yitong stated, "This is the beginning of downsizing and layoffs among civil servants." Shandong is one of the provinces with the heaviest bureaucratic system, and its finances have hit rock bottom. The Communist Party can no longer afford to pay civil servant salaries. User Mitwalfa sarcastically remarked, "Has it deteriorated to the point where they can't even afford to pay their enforcers?" Historical experience suggests that absurd events often conceal hidden secrets. The root cause of all these is summed as lack of funds. With China's economy in decline, particularly the near collapse of the real estate sector, local governments have seen a significant decrease in income from land sales, leading to financial strain. According to data from the Ministry of Finance, China's broad fiscal revenue, the sum of general public budget revenue and government fund revenue in the first 3 quarters of the year, was approximately 20.5 trillion yuan. This represents only a 3% increase compared to the same period in 2022 and an 8.8% decrease compared to 2021. According to think tank Bound, since June of last year, civil servants in multiple regions including Zhejiang, Jiangsu, Fujian, Shanghai, Guangdong, and Beijing have faced salary cuts ranging from 15% to 20%. In Zhejiang, incomes for staff in government agencies and institutions have dropped by about 25%, with some organizations in Hangzhou experiencing cuts up to 40%. These reductions are not limited to active civil servants, but also include retirees, employees of public institutions, and staff of some financial institutions like stock exchanges. Chinese local governments are not only visibly overwhelmed with debt, but their financial statements also hide a significant amount of off-the-books debt, posing a serious threat to the national financial system. To serve as a warning, the Ministry of Finance recently disclosed 8 cases of accountability involving local government hidden debt, inadvertently revealing just the tip of the iceberg concerning local financial distress and debt crisis. On November 6, the Ministry of Finance published a report on its official website detailing 8 typical cases of local government hidden debt accountability process since 2022. These cases include 1. Hidden debts totaling 21.48 billion yuan in Wuhan, Ezhou and Xianing cities in Hubei province, accumulated through requiring state-owned enterprises to advance funds for construction. 2. Liuzhou City in Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region accumulated 17.6 billion yuan in hidden debt via the same method. 3. Xi'an City in Shaanxi Province, incurring 2.6 billion yuan in hidden debt through state-owned enterprise debt financing. 4. Yanling County in Xuqiang City, Henan Province, accruing 2 billion yuan in hidden debt due to requesting agent banks to advance funds without settlement. 5. Pengzhou City in Sichuan Province added 432 million yuan in hidden debt by requiring state-owned enterprises to advance funds for construction. 6. Jingdezhen City in Jiangxi Province falsely reduced debts by 1.5 billion yuan. 7. The Agricultural Development Bank of China's Shaanxi branch illegally dispersing loans, creating 1.2 billion yuan in new hidden debt. 8. The Agricultural Bank of China's Wuhu branch and related sub-branches illegally issued loans, forming 471 million yuan in new hidden debt. Observers note that the violations listed in these 8 cases occurred between 2018 and 2022. Despite being illegal, many local governments still demanded local state-owned enterprises or banks to advance funds. These official disclosures provide a glimpse into the extent of the financial difficulties faced by local governments in recent years and the severity of the hidden debt issue. Amid related reports in Chinese media, netizens have been actively discussing these issues. A netizen from Guangdong questioned, "Those company executives report to the local government. Would they dare not comply? Why punish them?" A netizen from Zhejiang commented, "Many of these companies are local government platform companies. Otherwise, how could they obtain loans from banks?" Another netizen pointed out, "Many local governments have huge debts. What's being reported is just the tip of the iceberg." A netizen from Gansu wrote, "Local governments created those hidden debts. If it weren't for their interference, there wouldn't be so many hidden debts. It proves that hidden debts are like time bombs, ready to explode at any moment." During China's 3 years of pandemic, authorities have adhered to a stringent dynamic zero-COVID policy, implementing increasingly strict and blanket lockdown measures nationwide. This has not only caused widespread public dissatisfaction, but also inflicted severe damage on local economies and piled up debt. Provinces like Zhejiang, Hubei, Shandong, and Guangdong have introduced policies to strictly control fiscal spending, demanding provincial parties and government agencies to be frugal and practice austerity. Chinese media person Zhao Lanjian stated that the series of rights-defending incidents involving different groups and social strata across China are related to the economic difficulties the country and local governments face. 3 years of pandemic disaster have put local governments in a deficit. Large-scale development by local governments has led to financial deficits. Many local governments are out of money and rely on loans, which are then used for local government infrastructure projects. The poorer the area, the more construction there is. Chinese people can no longer maintain a healthy functioning of life. A significant decline in childbirth among young people is also related to this economic downturn. Wu Jianzong, Associate Professor of the Center for General Education at Taipei University of Marine Technology, told Radio Free Asia that with the current economic problems in China, any small incident can trigger public resistance. Wu Jianzong pointed out that the high unemployment rate, along with recent flood disasters, has caused many people to become dissatisfied with the Communist Party and highly distrustful of the Chinese economy. He anticipates continuous outbreaks of rights-defending incidents across the country. If China's economic bubble bursts, it could further impact social stability. Currently, China's stability maintenance funds are already high, and the cost of maintaining stability would only increase in the future. Other media have noted that for decades, the Chinese government has created a situation of national wealth public poverty. After extensive infrastructure construction, Chinese people are left with shoddy projects and a massive amount of debt. The wealth that should have been used for the people of 7.8 trillion yuan has been embezzled by officials and their families, ultimately accumulating in Swiss banks, unreachable by ordinary people. While many Chinese rely on foreign capital and enterprises for their livelihoods, the authorities adopt a wolf warrior stance, scaring and driving these entities away. By antagonizing the United States and the West, they upset the patrons that broke the livelihoods of the Chinese people. The Beijing authorities, with no taxes to collect, ultimately lose everything. The people, unemployed and burdened with mortgages, car loans, and credit card debts, are exhausted. As China's economy faces a dire situation, even police stations and officers responsible for maintaining public stability are being merged and downsized. The sustainability of the Chinese Communist Party's authoritarian regime is indeed an urgent issue for all Chinese citizens to consider.